live or not right now.
You got to give me a minute.
Check. Yeah, I'll give you a minute.
Here, I can just go to YouTube right now on my phone and check.
All right.
See if
Yeah, I'm still getting a countdown on YouTube, so I don't think that um
says it's upcoming. Well, give me a minute. I got to get something.
okay.
If it's go time, let's see. I don't know. Is the live event going? Is anyone there? I don't know. I don't know. Let's wait. Let's wait to see the if there's any fireworks going on.
Yeah, let's
Um,
chat for a bit till we see. I'm going to put something in the chat right now just to see as we are technologically challenged tonight.
live chat. Two people
Hey,
there.
Nana Mona says hi. Nana Mona,
But does she see us?
do
Oh,
you
there we
see
are.
us?
I think we're there.
Oh, there you go. We are there. We are there.
Yes, we
Hey,
are.
Bruno. Hey, how's it going, Bruno? I understand our good friend the show, Bruno, is on a bit of a road trip tonight. Chevy, didn't you catch up with him a little bit earlier? Where is he? Somewhere between.
Bruno is a world traveler. He's a world traveler. But this weekend, he went down to Indiana to witness his boys' graduation. Mateo Lindia from the believe it's the junior college. I can't remember the name. Bruno, you might have to put in the chat. But proud mom and dad went down to watch his final baseball game. He's a great baseball player. And they went to celebrate his graduation. So, congrats! And then they're driving up. So they got through the Coots border crossing, had to pay some duties on the car that Mateo brought back, little Chevy, and yeah, they're coming to town. So Bruno tells me that he was going to listen to the first half of the show in the car on the ride, which is appropriate for the show. And then he was going to catch the rest at home. So I'm already looking to see, and at least on the YouTube, I see a lot of you joining us now. You're going to bear with us. You're going to
Yeah,
bear with us.
in fact, right now, Chevy. Well, yeah, we're getting some
Marion
people
here,
jumping here.
Marion University, what a fantastic accomplishment. Before we get on, Mateo Lindia, the son. Bruno has two boys, Dominic and Mateo. Mateo was down in the States playing baseball at Marion University, graduated, had his convocation, and that's a tough thing. A Canadian kid devoted to sports during the shutdown that was COVID, having to react, having to find his way in baseball, still trying to find his way in baseball in school. But yeah, making his parents, of course, proud. And I know he's a good boy. I know he's a really good boy. He got asked to speak. He's a Catholic boy. Got asked to speak about his Catholic values and what it meant to him. His whole team, coaches, everyone went up to Bruno. And Bruno and went up and let them know how proud they should be of the boy. So what a nice road trip back they're having. And you know what? They might be listening a little bit to Chevy and Nasty. So thanks, Bruno, for tuning in. They're still driving. They're still driving, but everyone else is joining us on the ride tonight. We got Nanamana. We got Bruno. We got the man, the myth, the legend, the Rubio method, Daryl McAvina. We're going to talk about him in a minute. Joining us early, Jenna Ganji says we're looking good. Well, I appreciate we're looking Jenna. Good. Jamin, and yeah, let's get into it, Sheldon. We mentioned Jenna. She's watching the show. She's not producing the show. We announced a big change this week. We don't want to spend too much time on it, but it kind of leads into what we're going to talk about next. So how you hit it, Sheldon? You hit it.
Yeah. So, all things change and evolve. And as you guys know, we've been spending a lot of time with the NGBN .TV network. But right now, just with Chevy and my schedules and sort of the direction we're taking with our events, we were looking to maybe take more of a local approach, focus more on the Canadian thing, and just focus on growing this community here in Canada and around what we're doing now. So sort of sad to say that we stepped away from the network that supported us so well over the last few months, but super excited, guys, about what's coming next, starting with our event next week, and moving on from there. Well, we're just going to see. I think right now at this point, Chev, just about anything's up in the open,
Yeah,
is it not?
absolutely. Like, first of all, because we're flying solo again, Chevy and Nasty, Sheldon Napastchik, Randy Chevry, and myself. It's the ride with Chevy and Nasty. No network affiliation. You can find us on YouTube tonight. I don't know if we're live on Facebook. We're figuring some of this stuff out. We're going to get there, but we made it to one platform, and most of you happen to join us. So that's a good start. For sometimes you're on a road, right? The ride, you're on a road. You're on a highway. You're going fast. Sometimes you turn off. You take a quick turn. It's kind of dark. There's a little gravelly. You don't know where it's going to lead. Might lead you back to the big highway. Might lead you to another adventure. But we're on a little bit of a bumpy road now, figuring out at least the technical aspect. But I'm going to say big hats off to my buddy Sheldon, because I have not had any time in the last 2 days to devote to much of the show prep, let alone figuring out the technical aspects of how to get online. And Sheldon did it. So Sheldon, I like personally, I want to thank you, because even as bare bones as this might be, it's still you and I doing the thing that we said we would do almost over a year ago now. Just me and you having a chat, and now we got some people joining us for the ride. And I see, no Facebook, so we're not on Facebook.
No. See, and Jen is still digging us out of holes. She's like, "Well, we're not on Facebook." Well, we'll figure that one out for next week, guys.
We'll figure it out. But Sheldon bailed us out there, and in the meantime, I was doing what I do best, which is work the phones, work the lines, we, as Sheldon mentioned, part of this direction that we're going on is really to focus on our own community, the community of people that you hear join us every Tuesday night, community of people that we know and have formed already in Calgary, and really grow that along with our mission of helping men's health, and not just men's health, everyone's health, but we do have a focus on men's health. And that's what our event next week, the Men's Mental Health Movie Night, brought to you by Performance Freight Management, our friend Daryl McAvina that we mentioned, who sponsors not only our show, but said, guys, listen, wherever you go, I go. He said, wherever you go with your show, I go. But I also want to do more than just the show. And it was way back after we talked about the suicide prevention first aid with our good friend Craig Hannum. He did a fantastic job, and big things coming from him. Daryl said, I want to do an event. I'm committed to doing an event. He said, why don't we rent out the Cochrane movie theater? Why don't we get you guys to do a live fireside chat? Why don't we get my buddy Brett Gardner, pro Canadian rodeo Hall of Famer announcer, and doctor, performance coach. He talks with fire departments. He talks with agricultural business. He does mental health, performance coaching all over. He's coming to speak at our event. And then we're going to top it off with a great movie, all for free. Daryl's bankrolling the whole thing. He said, listen, this is my mission. I make money doing logistics, but I change lives with the blessings I've had. And that's exactly his words. So Daryl, want to thank you for imparting and sharing your blessings with us, because I think we can do some amazing things. And on those amazing things notes, so many things have grown organically just from us putting it out there that we're doing this event. Like next week, first of all, we mentioned already, we got a great speaker, not Chevy and Nasty. We're just kind of starting things off, warming up the crowd. But Brett Gardner is going to give us some mental health tips to keep us at our baseline, or at least close to it when we fall below, which is everybody that's listening to the show, man, woman, adult, child. We're not always functioning at 100% where our baseline is. And Brett Gardner, I've heard him speak before. He's going to give us some amazing tips. But not only is Brett there, like I mentioned, our good buddy Craig Hannum is driving up. He said, listen, I'm putting some gas in my wife's Volvo. He said, it doesn't take too much, so don't worry. I'm coming up, and I want to meet you guys. I want to meet your fans. I want to talk to you people. And that's what Craig Hannum is committed to. But we committed back to him, found him a place to stay, found him some potential speaking gigs so he can continue spreading his great word. So the community is growing. And then not only that happened, but we got some great people step up in the corporate community to offer a gift, to offer, we're giving away a prize. We're giving away many prizes.
Are we able to announce any of those prizes that we were looking at earlier, or is it still a little too early? Because
no, I think we got to mention some of our friends. So yeah, we got a great prize. Go ahead, Sheldon. I'm going to read some of the comments while you go ahead.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say one of the great prizes. I don't know if we're at the point where we can talk about it, but you're texting me some of the possibilities a little earlier today. Is that a go? The one that you're showing me earlier?
Yeah, it's a
Guys,
good one.
okay, here's the thing. So you got to come out. You guys all, those of you that have heard me long enough or know me outside of the Chevy Nasty gig know that I love to cook. And when I say I love to cook, what I really love to do is get outside, light a fire, smoke, and barbecue. So one of the big giveaways at the event is going to be a combination smoker grill. And guys, I mean, if you don't already have one, you don't even understand what this is going to add to your game. My good buddy Todd
I don't have one.
Cozy. No, but no, and I don't think you're eligible to win. But my buddy Cozy in Saskatoon, you've heard from him before on this show. And by the way, it's Cozy's birthday today. So
Happy
Todd
birthday,
Kozak
Cozy.
in Saskatoon. Happy birthday. He went and got himself a treat. He went and got himself one of these smokers as well. And he's already made beef jerky. He's planning smoking some fish. But you guys, come on down to the event. I mean, there's going to be 120 people?
We're at 100 people right now.
We're at 100 right now.
Last week
we'll be sold out by the time
last week this time we had 55 people. We have the link. We'll put it on our Facebook page because we don't know how to put it up in the comments. I mean, maybe I could put it up in the comments. I'll try and do it when Sheldon's talking a little bit when he goes on a roll. I'll see if I can get it up in the comments. But I'm really my iPad doesn't work. I'm juggling on my phone. This is bare bones. This is like, when the Starship Enterprise is out of power and they're on auxiliary power and you got Scotty running the Enterprise from engineering section and Captain Kirk's like, Scotty, I need more power. And then you hear, I couldn't give you any more power, Captain. She's going to blow. That's where we're at tonight. We're giving you as much power as we have, and we're giving you everything we can. But on top of the smoker grill, that's going to be sponsored by GTR Turf. So GTR Turf, a major competitor of Field Turf, they are coming to Alberta. They're setting up shop. They said, listen, we want to put some great football fields in the west coast of Canada. We want to set up shop here. Not only do they do sports fields, but they also do residential and commercial use. When they build these big complexes, especially in Alberta. With the drought that's going on here and how they're trying to cut back on water, it actually makes sense for a lot of these places to convert to a turf type thing. So GTR Turf says, we're contributing to our event. They bought a barbecue. They were like, well, how can you have a barbecue without meat? So I talked to my friend, Tony Spallettini, the great Calgary Stampeder, great Calgary Dino, great Calgary business person and philanthropist, Spalumbo's internationally famous sausage and meats. I say, Tony, listen, we want to buy a package of meat to give as part of a barbecue prize. How much, what can we get? What do you have available? We'll buy it off you. He's like, no, it's already done. I'm donating a case of sausage and I'm donating a case of meat. So now we got a case of meat from Spalumbo's. Okay. Not only do we have a case of meat from Spalumbo's, I contact my buddy, Brad Fair. Now, Brad Fair is a good friend of mine. One of my original Giants teammates in the ball hockey Parthenon of fame, the 4 in a row Giants that just won 4 championships in a row.
And that's funny because last week we were talking about your career with the Jets.
Yeah.
A different New York team, but you're talking the local Giants.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about the Giants of the Super League's ball hockey. We just won the trophy. The next season is about to start. And so Brad, he's the owner of Vacay Brew Co. Soon to hop on. We're not sure yet, but it's coming. Soon to hop on as a sponsor. Okay. So he says, listen, I'm donating to your prize. 2 flats of Vacay Brew. So now we have the ultimate dude summer barbecue package that's going to be donated. We also have special guest Jay McNeil. Should be it's I would say 88% confirmed that he's showing up. He's going to talk to us a little bit about the Stampeders, the exciting.
Well, yeah, and for those of you that don't know who Jay McNeil is, Jay is the president of the Calgary Stampeders, former teammate of ours.
Yeah, former teammate of ours. He's now the president.
Now the president. Yeah,
doing some great things with the Stamps, some great initiatives. You can follow him on LinkedIn. Follow the Stampeders on LinkedIn to see all the great stuff he's doing. He's going to come in. He's going to talk a little bit about what's happening in the community, and then he's going to give away a prize. And we've got so many more prizes, and all this is free.
Yeah, Rob Evans says Jay is awesome. Jay is awesome, dude. And I used to know this guy as like a 310-pound offensive guard. If you see Jay McNeil today, he looks like he's running marathons. Have you seen him lately?
I see him. Yeah, I see him all the time. He's a good looking dude now. Well, he was a good
Yeah.
looking dude now before, but I mean, he did like a model shoot too. Maybe we'll ask him about that next week when he shows up. So much going on. May 15th. I believe there are still some tickets. I had about 4 or 5 people registered today. I'll try to throw that link in the chat here in case you didn't register. But Sheldon, I think. Well, you know what? You talk for a second about the event. Talk about the movie. I gotta put it in the chat in the chat. I'm gonna find the link and I'm gonna put it in the chat.
Okay.
And you know what? Our good buddy Rubio just texted and he's like, "Hey, remind people to subscribe to your show." You know what? Rubio's so good at that. And if you haven't heard his show, you gotta go to Rubio's channel. Listen to the Rubio Method, one of my favorite and only podcasts that I actually listen to every week. I'm the most non-committal guy in the world. And like I take a toenail fungus medicine that I'm supposed to take every day of my life. I can't commit to that, but I could commit to Rubio. I could. I just outed myself. No, I don't. Anyways,
Yeah.
like and subscribe to our channel. Go to Rubio, listen to the show, give him a chance. You'll love it. You'll love it. I'm on fire tonight, Sheldon.
You are on fire. I wish I had a little of what you had before we got on the air here tonight.
Coffee.
Which again, people, I mean, it's kind of funny, when without Jenna here tonight, like Chevy and I think those of you guys that have been with us for a while saw the train wreck that we pulled off about 2 months ago, but we managed our way through, and we managed our way through off of your guys' energy, and I love it. Jenna corrected a text she had earlier on the chat line here where she used the word instead of saying I concur, she said I conquer. And that's it, man. Jenna conquers tonight. We're going to conquer. You guys, we're going to do this thing together. We're going to get through this. And really looking forward to seeing most of you guys here at the event to watch the screening of the Fall Guy.
Rubio says that might be the first time he's ever been compared to toe fungus. You know what, Rubio? You're better than toe fungus. You are so much better than toe fungus. You might be a fungus a little bit higher up, somewhere in the mid region. Better than toes. Absolutely better than toes. Okay, Sheldon, you know what? It's always a train wreck when it's just you and me, but we got to go to where we always go to kick off the show in style. Let's hit the 300-pound poetry. If you have any sappy music back home, now's the time to turn it up because this is where we get a little sappy. So 3, 2, blah, 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 go.
Chevy and Nasty with a fresh new beat. We are 300 pounds, mostly because we like to eat.
We are trying something new in a phase of transition. However we evolve, it doesn't change our mission.
To share with all of you listening, great stories and conversations that build our community and foster these awesome relations.
And these are awesome relations. Everyone tuning in tonight, what a night. We hit the sports and entertainment with a focus on men's issues. We share the laughs and lean into our miscues. I was going to do something with tissues, like crying tissues.
Miscues was good.
Miscues and issues rhymes well.
We are here on Tuesday. Will that change? Well, it may. However, any other night to Chevy and Nasty would just feel a little bit strange.
But we might play with some stuff. I don't know. Final stanza, everyone. Be ready. Be ready with the applause. We are the 300-pound poets, and we ain't no goats, just 2 big dudes who wear big coats.
Hold on.
Clap, clap, clap. You know what it's like? It's like when you buy a car from the 80s and it has like a cigarette, a broken tape deck, but it had the power seats that worked. That's what that was. The power seats worked in the 1980 K car. If K cars even, well, the good ones had the power seats. None others. Sheldon, where do you want to go here? Speaking of goats.
Well, you know where we got to go? We got to go with everybody's been talking about these last few
days.
I mean, this is ridiculous. This is a sign of the world's changing. The world's coming back. Something
I feel it is
live on of all platforms, Netflix, a live streaming event that we haven't seen in this world in probably 10, 15 years because I just didn't think it was politically correct to do these anymore. The Roast of Tom Brady. Any of you guys out there, chime in right now. Did any of you guys get a chance to watch that? And Chevy, tell me about it. What was your takeaway?
So I'm going to tell you quite honestly, like I am so invested in this thing that I have not watched it all because I want to make sure that I hang on every joke. So I'm kind of halfway through. When we spoke a little earlier in the night, I was at Bill Belichick, and then
Spoiler alert, by the way.
yeah. If you haven't watched it, it's for okay. And then I made it to Julian Edelman. So now I'll back up. I heard about the roast last week, and it was very funny because I was on a Zoom meeting with my kids' football team. I was on a Zoom meeting and I told all the kids, hey guys, Sunday night, you got to watch the roast of Tom Brady. It's so like, he's the GOAT. You got to watch it, not knowing what to expect. Sunday night, I tuned in after it was on because, you can still catch it on YouTube, on Netflix. Man, boy, did I wish I didn't tell the kids to watch that. It is so offside. Like if you haven't seen the roast, if you have not seen the roast, it is absolutely offside. Like no punches pulled. It was old school comedy. Like you hadn't seen, since it was like Eddie Murphy had sex with Andrew Dice Clay and they made a roast. Like that's what it was. And it was funny. It was offside. And it felt like, again, I guess Netflix said, you know what, for those people that don't get offended by jokes, here you go. And it was awesome.
And they led with it. They didn't warm you up to it.
No.
Kevin Hart comes out there right away and he's making jokes about this what was the famous forum that they're in where the Lakers used to play. And all they talked about was the kinky sex parties that used to go down in that building, right to the black light, right. Check your seats with a black light. And that's where it started. It was shocking. I haven't seen that in forever. And you know what? I welcomed it.
Oh man, it was so funny when they said, yeah, this is the home of Magic Johnson's AIDS. Like, like it was bad. It was bad. Like, I don't want to spoil the jokes. I don't want to spoil the jokes.
We're not going to do a whole lot of spoilers here. But you know what I found so refreshing about that was over the last 2 to 3 years, kind of ever since you started COVID and into COVID, there's been a real progressive movement across North America. And progress, guys, there's nothing wrong with progress. In fact, you get some good stuff out of progress. But there's been a flip side where I think we've taken ourselves too seriously. We've censored ourselves. We've drawn up lines and boundaries and borders that people have been afraid to cross. You hear the term cancel culture. Some people can't stand it. Some people see it everywhere. Well, the fact of the matter is, Chef, over the last few years, it really has come up. And Netflix was almost leading the charge in it. And a year or so ago, they started getting criticism because of some of their programming choices and whatnot. And they took a step back. And they said, you know what? Maybe what the people want and need in society isn't just what the Twitter hawks are battling about every day on Twitter. Maybe there's still the mass of 80% of people that just want to laugh sometimes and have a good time. We can be more sensitive than we used to be.
But even if it's 50%, there's still an audience for, they led with a bunch of, and their most successful shows were the comedy shows. Dave Chappelle pulled no punches. Dave Chappelle, as far as I'm concerned, whether you agree with his opinions or not, or like comedy is a reflection of society. And people seem to forget that sometimes it's a caricature of what's going on. And yeah, Dave Chappelle, he can offend people, and I know we're going a little bit off track, but
no, I think I'll just keep going on.
But he's comedic genius, and when I listen to him, I might not always agree with what he's saying. I might agree what he's saying is offside, but the way some of these masterful comedians portray what's going on in society and how they make jokes about it, for me, it's part of the art in terms of not just that performer's art, but that art imitating life and caricaturing life and allowing people to talk and feel about something that they can't otherwise have a very comfortable conversation with because you're so at odds. And yes, people will get offended by jokes. It happens. But I believe, and we talked about Rubio on his show last week, he talked about Jerry Seinfeld, talking about how, when a joke is written, and again, I'm going to give all credit to Rubio for putting me onto this because I wasn't onto it until I watched his show. The quote from Jerry Seinfeld basically saying that these days, when it comes to networks or it comes to comedians on TV, they write a joke and it goes through one person, goes through two people, it goes through about 10 people in a committee before it, and everyone has a power of veto. So at some point, someone's going to veto a joke, and you can't really let loose. And I think that's in a lot of things. That's in a lot of things where you have a great idea, and especially if you work in a large organization, you might think your idea is the best idea. And the person that you tell it to first thinks it's a great idea. But a week or two passes, and there's always someone in that chain of command that says no. And what I loved about the Tom Brady roast is there was probably very few people that had control or impact on that night, which happened to be a live broadcast. And it was so well done for a live broadcast. And again, like I said, right out the gates, it was shocking. Right out the gates, it was eye popping, and right out the gates, it was hilarious. And yeah, if you're easily offended, you might not like it, but if this is the thing, the person who should be most offended was the person in the room that was the butt of the jokes, and he sat through all of them. And if he could take it with a smile, then we should all take it with a smile. And it was, gosh, they hit all the Tom Brady, Gisele Bundchen jokes. Yeah. Like they didn't pull any punches there. They didn't pull any punches.
Her jiu-jitsu trainer.
Yeah, her jiu-jitsu trainer. They didn't pull any punches on the Tom and Bill Belichick relationship, which was awesome because Bill was there and he was great. They didn't pull any punches, and this was bad. They went down. They went so low. They went to Hades to get these jokes. The Aaron Hernandez jokes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think we're going to stay away from the spoilers anymore.
No, but just
if you
general
guys have
topics.
not seen this, this is a throwback to 20 years ago. The last time you saw a roast of Donald Trump or Mike Tyson or Bob Saget or any of those other guys. I haven't even seen a roast in 20 years. But, for me, from a society standpoint, comedians, they're not trying to spread an opinion. They're trying to make you uncomfortable and make you laugh. If we can strip ourselves down to our most bare, exposed weaknesses and insecurities and laugh at that, that's good for society. Ernie Regas, good to be back with you guys. He says, Ernie, it's great to have you back. I don't know if we mentioned it last week, but Ernie had a health issue that he missed last week, and we were all saying a prayer for him here on the in the Chevy and Nasty Network. But Ernie, great to have you back involved. Dave DeRoche, yeah, it's a roast. It has to be raunchy. Dave, is there anything that you saw out there that was too raunchy? I mean, 20 years ago, that was what we did. We laughed. We had a good time. And yes, you're right. The people in the networks, there will be censors, and people say, well, maybe that's a little offside. Of course it's offside. It's supposed to be offside.
It's got to be offside. No. And you know what? They've done a few roasts in the last few years. Like there was one of Justin Bieber. There was a Bob Saget one. But this one, I think Tom Brady really is the GOAT. Because I'm going to venture to guess that this was one of the most watched Netflix programs because everyone is talking about it, and talking about it in a good way and talking about it in a bad way. And no press is bad press in show business. So I think that Netflix is onto a trend. I'm going to say of all the jokes that I've seen so far, the only thing that there were some great ones. Drew Bledsoe got up and he was
he was hilarious.
He was hilarious. But I will say the best one, and the only one that I'm going to do spoiler on, is Bill Belichick, and he had a lot of good ones. He settled the argument for once and for all. He said, Tom Brady, he said, it wasn't you, it wasn't me, it was us because of me. And I thought that was hilarious. And really, if you think about it, if Tom doesn't get drafted by Bill Belichick, and a whole amazing sequence of events happen, we don't get to witness that greatness. The 7 Super Bowls, the comeback win against the Falcons, the going to Tampa Bay and reuniting with his buddy Gronk and just willing a Super Bowl. He really is the greatest of all time. Sheldon, we're not going to take a break. We're definitely not going to take a break because we don't know how to actually run a commercial. So if you got to go pee, Sheldon, now's your time. I want to thank.
I just did.
Right in the diaper or right in the cup? You're turning 50 this year, hey?
I am, yeah.
It's diaper season for us. I'm getting there. I'm 48. Okay, but it's 11:30. I don't know if there's overtime, but you know what? We certainly got to thank all the people for joining us tonight. We're actually only on one platform.
Yeah.
We're not on any other platform. And I think we got the most people tuning in live that we've ever had. So that's because of all the amazing people. And I hope that people realize, all the guys, Dave, Nanamana, Jenna, Bruno, Ernie, like we love you people. We love you people. Like, you're part of this ride. Like, we're not driving in a K car. We thought when we started we'd be in a little smart car, just me and Sheldon. This is a bus. This is a bus, and you're all on the bus. The ride on Tuesday nights. We're brought to you by Performance Freight Management. We're going to give our buddy Daryl and his company lots of love. If you need to ship something, I know Sheldon mentions the WestJet calls him to go pick up the airplane wings. He does that. Like, if he does, he's one of WestJet's biggest shippers. He's also one of their biggest warehouses. But if you need anything shipped, he will do it. In fact, he's got the greatest story, and maybe one day he'll get to tell it. Daryl is a bit busy guy, and he one day gets asked to ship this treadmill from Ontario, this 30-foot long treadmill. Okay. And he's like, okay, we're going to ship this 30-foot long treadmill. Okay, whatever. And it's his buddy's a movie producer. Says, Daryl, I need you to put this on a flat deck. Bring it. It's this 30-foot long treadmill. It's humongous. So he's like, okay, we could do it. So he goes to Ontario, grabs the 30-foot long treadmill, brings it back to Alberta. They say, hey, can you deliver it to the Alberta Wolf Sanctuary? They deliver this treadmill to the Wolf Sanctuary. He's like, what are we doing here? And the guy, his buddy from the movie industry says, have you heard of a show called Game of Thrones? He's like, yeah, I've heard of that. He's like, well, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put a big green screen behind this treadmill, and we're going to film the wolves at the Wolf Sanctuary running on the treadmill, and we're going to use that footage in the Game of Thrones. So this is the type of interesting stuff that our buddy Daryl does. And not only does he do that for people in a pinch, and even, for in his job in logistics, but in a pinch, he comes in, he tells Chevy and Nasty, guys, I'm going to be the title sponsor of your show, and we're going to put on an event that changes men's lives. We just want to give back to guys. We want to have a night that guys don't have to pay for, that they could take a break if they need and come and join us, have a laugh, listen to some good stories, listen to some good news and some good, education that they can use. And then we'll have fun watching a movie with some food, keep their bellies full, and some prizes. So that's what we got going on. Follow us at all our socials at Chevy and Nasty. Usually there's a nice graphic that comes up. We don't have the graphic, but you know what at Chevy and Nasty looks like online. You're probably all following us if you're here. And we love you guys. So
before you get started, though, you're talking about how we've grown from the K car to the bus. I think Jamin just accused us of driving the short bus. He said it's a bus, but it's a short bus. But not.
I think there was a lot of short bus jokes for Gronkowski at the Roast of Tom Brady. There were quite a few short bus jokes for our buddy Gronk. And I apologize for my posture because I'm reading the comments. And boy, you guys, the best thing I love is that while we're talking and we're reading what you're saying to us, you're also talking to each other, and I love that. I love what this does. This is like really cool. But you know what else is cool, Sheldon?
What's that, Chevy?
What's cool is that we go from one GOAT who played forever to another GOAT that played forever that has been retired probably for 10 years.
And what did he say? He missed the adrenaline. He missed the guys, and he just wanted one more crack at it.
So we're talking about Winnipeg legend, CFL legend. I believe now he's second for most receptions in the CFL all time, second to probably Nick Lewis. And I might be wrong on that stat because I didn't have time to do research, but he's probably the top 3 receiver in the history of the CFL, Hall of Famer, TSN broadcaster, Milt Stegall, one of the fittest men in and out of sport, decided at the age of 50 to challenge himself for his birthday to sign a rookie contract to return to the CFL with 50. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
He's older than 50 now. He said
he's older than 50.
Yeah, he's like 54 something right now.
Well, and this is the thing. He played so long, he never got a Grey Cup with the Winnipeg Blue, and he was good for so long. And I think that's kind of like one of those things, like Randy Moss sitting at the Roast of Tom Brady talking about, man, that's the one thing I'm missing, right? Being so great, yet not having that ring. And here's Milt Stegall going back to Winnipeg to try out as a rookie. What do you think?
Dude, I'm intrigued. Like, here's the thing. The first thing I think about is, oh my God, that's going to hurt. Right. Like, a lot of guys have played sports and whatnot before, and have been through 2-a-days, but there's a big difference between going through 2-a-days when you're 16, 17, 18 in high school, or, 18 to 22 in college. At a certain point in your time spectrum, 2-a-days, they really hurt. Like, really hurt, and he's sitting here. I think he's been out of the game long enough. what he talks about in the interview that I was reading. He's like, yeah, of course it's ego. I'm ego driven. I really want to try it. I think I can do it. I've been missing, like, for the first few years out of football, you don't miss training camp, you don't miss 2 days, but then it comes back to you. I will never feel that kind of pain again. I will never push my body that limit again. And you know what? He's excited about it.
Yeah.
He's been training for months.
Well, Sheldon, I can relate a bit. First of all, training camp has changed since you played and since I played.
They don't like, like they used to, right?
Football is a kinder, gentler beast with all the worries about concussions and CTE. When I was in the NFL, they had 4 weeks of training camp. The years before I was there, they had 6. Now it's down to about 3 because they shortened the preseason so they can get an extra season game. And even in the CFL, they've limited the amount of time that you could have 2 days. And I don't even think anyone does 2 days, maybe 1 or 2 days. And a guy like Milt.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I'm sure we should ask someone next week. We'll ask Jay McNeil at the Men's Mental Health Movie Night in Cochrane on May 15th at 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. But we'll ask Jay. But football definitely, in terms of the training camp and the grueling schedule, has gotten better. And they're not putting him through 2 days, just like they weren't putting him through 2 days at the end of his career. He's proven what he can do. He still has the same hands. He's still fit as hell. I've seen videos of him training. He trains people in the offseason. He is a fit dude. I think he can do it. And my context is this, Sheldon. I sat for I retired kind of officially in 2016. That was the last time I'd played. In 2022, I came back and I made my comeback at 45 years old with Stampeders. I was not in training camp, but I had to work out for them. I had to do all that stuff. And then I practiced for a week, Sheldon. For me, as a long snapper, a lot less contact on my body. But you know what? That adrenaline rush, just of going in front of the coaches and having their stopwatches out and proving that I can still do it, that was, for me, the pinnacle. When they signed me to a contract and I got a free t-shirt and sit on the practice squad, yeah, I would have loved to play. And I was scheduled to play in the playoff game if they won their first round game. And I was ready. But at the same time, it didn't happen. And do I wish I still had another call on me? Hell yeah, I do. And I've told them, I said, until I'm 50, I'm training for that. I'm training for a call. Now, will I be able to play a whole season? For me, there's a whole bunch of logistics, right? Obviously, I have a job that I really love. I can't just leave. But you know what? I got 2 good months in me in October, November. Come playoff time, I'm ready, man. And I get what Milt feels.
I hear you on that one, but I've got to be thinking though, that is awesome. It's only going to be for that one day, but I think he's going to get all he was hoping for and then some when talking about the soreness. Because your hamstrings, like once you start hitting 50 and you start running with the kids, because I'll tell you what, man, there's a lot of running in training camp. Even if they pulled the banging out of it, he's going to be running a ton of routes, and he's going to be running routes and competing against a defensive back in a drill is way different than running routes on air, right?
Yeah.
So it is a different thing, but I feel good for him. I'm excited for him. I like with you. I feel that call. If I had one more chance, what would it feel like? Could I still do it? I go right back in my head, and I was a nose tackle, right? So it was pretty physical position, but I remember the first step. I remember the hand placement. I'd love to try that again. Maybe not against 310-pound offensive guard who's 26 years old in his prime, but you know what? I take that back. I want to try him too, because I still think I got that old man strength.
Sheldon,
I got a few reps under me, right?
You got the Saskatchewan farm boy strength, and that never leaves. Sheldon, let's be real. I was a guy that had to spend 4 hours in a gym to be as strong as you were when you woke up in the morning.
I don't know about that, but
no, like you had a strength that you don't train in the gym. You grew it on the farm, and you could see it. You had that power that you don't train in the gym. You had speed that you don't train in the gym. You have it, and I've seen it with so many farm kids, right? Like the farm kids in the middle of Alberta, when they come down the QE2 to play lacrosse or hockey or football against my kids, they are monsters. Now, we got some monsters in Calgary too, but when you're talking about a little town like Olds or Disbury, and every single kid on the offensive line is over 6'4", 320, and you're like, holy crap, you don't train that. You become that. That's like Conan the Barbarian chained to the freaking mill, and the only guy left standing, and he's pushing, and he becomes Conan. That's what I picture every farm kid.
It's different now though. And any of you Saskatchewan peeps or even rural Alberta peeps will know this. Back when we were kids, like it was throwing bales. I mean, it's sort of a punchline and a cliche, but yeah, we threw bales. We now everything's automated, round bales, the big square bales, everything's automated. And the same thing with feeding your cattle. We used to carry, the two, and anybody sound off if you remember this, carrying the 5-gallon pails full of, like, whether it was oats or whatever you're feeding the cows with. And you'd always look at your dad, and he could manage 2 or 3 of those pails in one hand, forearms just rippling, right? And you'd be struggling as a kid with one, but you worked your way up till 2. Like, you really had to work for that strength back in the day.
Well, I tell you, Sheldon, you're really resonating with the people online, whether it's Nanamana or Rob Evans. You're talking about baling hay, and I have no idea what you're talking about when you say bale.
Nanamona, throwing bales on the back of the truck.
The only bale I know about is
the little brother, the youngest brother, always had to be the one on the truck and help stack them. And he'd be the one that would fall off if he hit a bump while you're driving along. Yeah, Rob Evans knows exactly what I'm talking about.
The only bales we knew about in Montreal growing up was bailing out some of our buddies that got arrested because they probably shoplifted or something in town. I mean, there's different situation growing up. But yeah, okay, Sheldon, let's put a tick on the Milt Stiegel talk. All I'm going to ask you right now, tomorrow morning, Calgary Stampeders say, Nasty, we need you to line up as a nose guard. We want you back, in or out.
I'd actually reach out to them and say, give me a shot on practice roster for a little bit. I'll teach the young guys a thing or two. And yeah, of course. You know what? Okay. I would
yes or no? Yes or no?
Chance. I would love the chance. I would say yes. I would throw on the pads and do it. Would I expect anything to come out of it? Chev, I'm also realistic. Like, it's fun to kind of look back and remember some of those stories, and remember how strong I was. But the fact of the matter is, it's a little bit disrespectful to say that 26-year-old kid that I'd like to go take on a one-on-one hasn't put in his time and his training too. And when you look around the NFL and the CFL, there's not a whole lot of 50-year-olds playing. Like, we've talked about it.
Hey, Sheldon,
Tyson's got to fight.
Sheldon, put a zip on that. I'm still the best. If you're out there and you need a long snapper, I am still the best. I'm still the best.
Yeah, and I'll be there to scrape you off the field to sit next to the first time. I'm not worried about you snapping. It's that run down the field and getting blindsided.
You haven't come to watch me play ball hockey yet, have you? You haven't. You haven't watched me play ball. You wait till you come. Listen, let's move on. We're still staying in the CFL, Sheldon. Big development today. Chad Kelly, we've been following this story for a while. If you've listened, you know Chad Kelly, the most outstanding player in the CFL last year. 2 years ago, helped the Argonauts win the Grey Cup. Last year, helped them get to the best record in CFL history. Broke a lot of records, won all the awards. Most outstanding player in CFL.
Butts in seats in Toronto, which hasn't been done in a decade.
Yeah. Good. All that good stuff erased in the offseason because we find out that he basically is the word sexually harassed and made what's
for those of you that haven't heard us talking about this before, basically Chad Kelly, right, the nephew of Jim Kelly with the Buffalo Bills, came up here after getting kind of run out of college, run out of the NFL, because of kind of sort of a lack of character, a lot of bad decisions. He came up to Canada, got his new chance.
Oh, wait a second, Shell. Wait. When you say bad decisions, we're not talking about he threw an interception or he chose to run the ball when it was a pass play. There's bad decisions.
No, he'd wake up, he'd walk home drunk from the bar and wake up in other people's houses on their couches. He was a train wreck, guys. He was dumb stuff. He was a dumb stuff, train wreck. And he came up here and he quickly won a Grey Cup in relief for McLeod Bethel Thompson.
Yep.
Quickly became the following season, last year, the league's MOP, put up numbers that were just absolutely unreal. And then earlier in this offseason, it came out that their assistant strength and conditioning coach, female, he'd been sexually harassing her, hitting on her, asking her out, making inappropriate texts, phone calls, just bugging her the whole offseason. And finally, she went to management and said, "Listen, guys, you gotta tame this beast. I mean, I can't work like this anymore." They took it under consideration. The next day, they fired her.
Yep.
And this was just going into the playoffs here this last season. Sure enough, right after they fired her, he kind of crapped the bed in the playoffs, and they lost, and the rest is history. Now, we never heard about the harassment case, but that came out now in February. She came forward with a lawsuit suing him, the Toronto Argonauts, for $85,000, and suing him for a certain amount to replace her the money that she lost. Anyway, so the whole thing came up. Here you've got a brand new star in the CFL, a guy that's leading the league in all categories, putting butts in seats in Toronto. Is this guy going to be the player to put the CFL back on the map in certain markets? And what does he do? He does the one thing you can't do in this day and age. You shouldn't have done it 10 years ago. You might have gotten away with it 25, 35 years ago, but he's hitting on a chick that works for the club, and they end up firing her. So a lawsuit comes out. If we're trying to figure out a few weeks ago, is anything going to happen? What are they going to do? Can you suspend your star player of your league? Well, Toronto didn't do anything. The Argonauts club didn't do anything, but the CFL launched an investigation about 3 months ago. The results just came back, an 89-page report saying that it is, I don't have the quote in front of me, but they basically said, guys, this looks bad. And they suspended him for a minimum of 9 games, followed by more consultations and to see if the attitudes change, see if he's learned anything, and potentially longer. Long story short, Chad Kelly suspended for minimum of 9 games. Right after his new contract, making $500,000-$600,000 a year, right after being the MOP of the league, 9 games. Randy, do you agree, disagree? Are you surprised, first of all, that the CFL actually came down this hard on him?
I'm a little surprised. However, the CFL has nullified the contracts of guys in the past. I think they were kind of forced in a corner to do something. I'm glad they were. I believe they should have done something. Is 9 games enough? Gosh, I don't know. I got Sean Lemon suspended indefinitely for gambling on CFL games, one of which he might have been involved in. But the investigation showed it had no bearing on the outcomes of the games. So he's suspended indefinitely for that. I understand that it affects somewhat the integrity of the game, but here's a guy, and if things, I don't know how much more they can be proven, or if there's any sort of outcome in illegal outcome that affects this decision more or less. But here we are, this affects the integrity of, I don't know, humanity. And 9 games. So there's a part of me that says, I'm glad they did something. I'm glad they went 9 games. Should he get more? Probably. Probably should. He's a high-profile guy doing high-profile stupidities. Probably need a high-profile punishment. Maybe a season. That a season almost seems too much if the guy's doing the steps to remedy situation. The problem is this. This is the problem. In the time since everything came out and the investigation was going on, he probably had some good people in his corner telling him to lay low, but he did the exact opposite, making stupid comments online. So literally zero maturity in the face of, this is not the first offense, right? We talked about his rap sheet. You can't burn him for what he's been punished for in the past, but you certainly can write a book on him. And the book on him doesn't indicate that he has the capacity to improve. It really doesn't. I believe in second chances. I believe there's some guys that you and I have shared the locker room with that have messed up big time. And that's why they wound up in Canada. That's why or barely wound up in Canada. And some of those guys had turned their lives around because they understood the opportunity that coming to Canada presented them to not only continue doing what they love, but turn their life around and be a positive citizen. I have not seen that from this guy. I have not seen that. So for me, I would have liked the longer punishment. I would have liked the longer punishment.
And the agent, they came out with a statement today saying that they're investigating all of their appeal options. And I'm not sure. I mean, I guess as an agent, that's what you've got to say. And I don't want to sound like a hypocrite because I'm a huge fan of innocent till proven guilty. You got to prove the case, right? But and here's a quote. The CFL came out with that 89-page report, and they said the evidence is unequivocal. And to me, that means there's going to be witnesses, right? Because, unless he was just a complete lone wolf, there's going to be some people that saw something. 2, there's going to be text messages. If he was reaching out to her, there's going to be a record of text messages. There's going to be a record there. And so, even to come out to say that, hey, you know what, we're probably going to be fighting this, right? I guess he's got to, because he's got to make sure that, he has rights and whatnot. But I'm not sure it's a good look, because I think it's one thing to be gambling on a game. It's one thing to get a DUI, which is horrible. It's one thing to be caught with drugs or a firearm, which is bad. But these days, sport is trying to change their culture, and there's been so many examples of men behaving badly that you almost feel like that is the final straw. That if you cross that line, if you take advantage of females or if you hurt kids, then that is the straw where, guys, we're coming down on you, because we have to, because we need to stamp this out of our culture.
Well, and Daryl makes a great point in the comments. He says Hockey Canada waited so long to do anything, especially with that 2018 World Junior team, which, all those 4 or 5 guys are in court in London, Ontario for sexual assault charge. And that took so long. And look at the stain it put on Hockey Canada. Sponsors 100%. Were pulled. Tons of people lost their job, reputations. I mean, when an organization fails and the people within it fail the people it represents, it's going to fall apart. Now, Hockey Canada was such an institution, so deeply rooted, that they were able to rebound. But many organizations, when they fail their members, they don't get a second chance. And the CFL has been in a position of growth, and you cannot do that when you're in a position of growth. When you're in a position where you're trying to grow the game, they're trying to grow it, the grassroots. They're trying to grow it across Canada. You got the Touchdown Atlantic. Next year, the Touchdown Pacific. They're doing big things. They want to get another team in the league. To get another team, you need more money. These days, to get money, you need to be a good corporate citizen. And if you're not following with what good corporations are doing, and you turn a blind eye, you're going to lose money. Bottom line, you're going to lose money. And it always comes to money. It always comes to money, whether it's changing the name of the Edmonton Eskimos to the Elks. It wasn't an issue until sponsors left. Yep. And the CFL knows what it means when sponsors leave. And I'm sure that Purolator and some of their major sponsors, TSN, who has, a female as the lead on their Friday night broadcast, Kate Burness, who runs the table. When you're represented that way and you have a program that gives scholarships to women coaches across the league, all these opportunities that you're trying to promote the sport of football, which I think is fantastic, by the way. I'm totally in agreement with, especially since flag football has become an Olympic sport, both male and female. The cross
collegiate scholarship sport.
The cross marketing of the sport and the beacon that CFL can represent. And then you have that representing you, Chad Kelly and his behavior. You have to make an example of him. Will he learn? From his track record, which is long and deep, and we've seen it. I don't think he's going to learn from it, but he'll say the right things. Hopefully he'll listen to his agent and he'll do the right things. And hopefully he doesn't mess up. But in the meantime, he's going to be watching. He's not even able to participate, I believe, in training camp or preseason. He's going to have a 9-week vacation. Who knows what he's going to do, and who knows who's taking his place. But the Argos are in a bit of a hole. It's been a rough week for Toronto, Sheldon.
Yeah.
It's been a rough week. And we're not just talking about the football team. We're not just talking about the pigskin.
Oh, Boston.
We're talking about
finally taking
the puck.
Ernie Regis, I'm sorry. I know you are a big Maple Leafs fan, and I respect that. That said, it was killing me watching that potential comeback. To see 2 seasons in a row where where Boston could blow a 4-game lead or a 4-1 series lead.
Well, 3-1,
3-1 series lead, and it almost happened. It could have happened. In fact, with Toronto's road woes, they're playing better on the road. It was almost looked like a story that was about to be written, but Boston comes through. Toronto's out. Does that make me a bad person? I think we've talked about this before. I was happy to see them out. I'm sad for Jamin and all of you Jets fans out there, because I think the Jets deserved a little bit better. But yeah, for Toronto, definitely a hard week for their sports fans.
Yeah, I was hoping the Jets would move on, but Colorado, the better team, did move on. They took care of the Stars tonight, won game one. The Rangers also won game one tonight of their series, I believe, against the Hurricanes.
Wasn't that a double overtime game? I didn't get to catch the end.
Yeah, double overtime game, I believe, 4-3. Again, I was prepping for the show and some other things, but yeah, Colorado, I think they were the better team. They showed up. Hellebuck couldn't stop a puck. So again, when you got that situation, but Toronto really was coming on strong. And I told you going into that game, I hate the Bruins, but I don't want the Leafs to win. And it was, you know what? There's nothing better than a Saturday night game 7 on Hockey Night in Canada. I got to tell you that. As much as I didn't like the two teams, it was compelling. It was super compelling. I wore my Habs jersey to the bar. I sat down with my buddy Chris, who wore his Bruins jersey. We mocked our buddy Mark, who had his Leafs jersey, and it was a great night. We watched the game. It just felt good to watch hockey, game 7. But I tell you what, when the Leafs were put to bed, I wasn't sad. Now I need the Bruins to lose. I definitely need the Bruins to be wiped off the map by Florida. I believe it's Florida they're playing. Is that correct? Yeah. So I need that to happen. I'll be happy. I'm happy that the Oilers are advancing. I'm hoping for a good series against the Canucks. That's going to be a nice one because another Canadian team is going to advance to the next round, which puts us closer to having another cup in Canada. Cool, but brothers. I was pretty happy that the Leafs lost because it's a train wreck. And Toronto, the bad news about Chad Kelly that they may or may not notice because they were still reeling about their team being on the golf course. You know what? Everything that I said a few weeks ago about why I don't like Toronto is why I like that they lost.
Did you hear Mitch Marner?
Yeah.
Afterwards, Mitch Marner's up there. They're all giving their end of season exit interviews, and he's like, yeah, I get it, but in a city like Toronto, we're pretty much gods to the fans. And he was hesitant to say it, but he said it. We're pretty much like gods to the fans. And I'm like, Mitch, you guys are ass clowns right now. You guys are just another long line of Maple Leafs that are overhyped, overpushed on the rest of the country,
and underachieving.
Don't have the heart to back it up.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to finish up here with a good news story, Chef.
Are we done? Wait a second.
We're going to bring this back. We're going to bring this back locally here, Chef.
Okay, but I got to say this. Okay. Thank you, everyone who's joining us. And Sheldon, you can read the comments while I do this part. Thank you. We're Chevy and Nasty. We're only on YouTube. And yet you guys are still with us, so we must be doing something right. And we want to thank you for joining us. It doesn't go unnoticed that you people join us. You make some comments. You make us laugh with your discussion, and you keep the show going. You know that we're at Chevy and Nasty on all the socials, still Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter X, as they say. And did I get them all? Yeah, YouTube. And, tonight it was the big question. Will they or won't they? And it's been a couple of weeks, Sheldon. It's been a couple of weeks. We've been preparing for our event. I had a little bit of work. I get up in the mornings on Wednesday mornings at 5 a.m. to get to the office for 7. We kind of avoided one of everyone's favorite segments, But I think tonight, because it's you, because it's me, because we still have probably 16, 17 people online thirsting for the ride to keep going. I think there's no more fitting a time than to hit some overtime. So I don't know if the people out there want the overtime, but I think
I'll give you 5 minutes.
You'll give me 5 minutes of overtime.
I'm gonna go back on this. So yeah, okay, we can keep going. We can keep.
Okay, so we got overtime. So you ring a bell, Sheldon. Hit the applause, please, because we're going for overtime.
You know what? You're putting me on the spot here.
Hit the applause. You got it. Don't worry. I'll talk while you hit the applause.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Yes. Okay. All right. Just because you have. We've got overtime tonight, folks. And I don't know.
I think Jenna in the background. I heard Jenna cheer.
There you go.
Rubio took his shirt off. Rubio took his shirt off.
No riots, please, Canucks fan. Daryl, they riot. The first win in Series 1, they won and they rioted. I mean, Vancouver, the one thing that's guaranteed is whether something good happens in Vancouver or something bad happens in Vancouver, the hooligans are going to be out and they're going to be trashing their own bus benches, statues, and police cars. That's one thing I've never been able to figure out about Vancouver fans. Is that passionate or is that just something in the water that's got them got them just a little bit off. You know what I
I
mean? Just a
can't
little bit
say
wrong.
much about that because I was there for 93 when there was the Stanley Cup riot. And yeah, I remember getting a phone call and some guys from school, not good buddies of mine, but everyone had everyone's numbers back then. And when it was the third period, the call went out, we're going to get some TVs. That's all I'm going to say. I stayed home, but I know some people that got some new TVs after that night. I knew one guy that has a new couch. And that,
Who are you hanging out with?
well, I went,
That's just a Vancouver thing, though, isn't it?
no, I the Montreal thing too.
Oh,
I
that's a
went to a
Montreal
rough,
thing. Oh, yeah,
I went to kind of a rough school. And I think when people see an opportunity for trouble, they take it. I know the Vancouver fans did. They rioted after they lost to the Bruins a few years back. They rioted after the didn't they riot after the Olympic gold, or no? That was peaceful.
They're just in love with trashing their own city. I can't figure it out. Passionate fans, no doubt, but I just can't understand that. But I am going to steer us back to something positive. We talked about we started off with this. We start off with a roast.
It's vindication, Sheldon. It's justice.
We're talking. Say that again.
I said it's vindication and justice.
It's vindication and justice, and it's the world swinging back, hopefully, to a more balanced position. We talked about the roast at Netflix, who is really, they're cutting back on good programming to make sure that they appeal to the censors that say you can't talk about this, you can't have a show about this, any show has to have this. Whereas, you and I, we've always just loved good programming and you know what, good original writing, good original content, and get all the censors out of the way. So they brought back the roast, and common sense prevailed. Calgary, man, we've been needing some good news. We cut out the fireworks for Canada Day last year because apparently it's offensive and racist towards the native populations of our.
I think they also threw something in there about the animals.
No, that was a cover up. That was a cover up. In fact, some of the councillors were like blasting people on Twitter until our First Nations and Métis around the province came together and said, "What are you guys talking about? We love fireworks. Don't cancel it. And if you are going to cancel it, don't blame it on us." Common sense, they corrected it. Now, the power,
and that was good. That was, what?
Was good. It was
because a lot of people. Let's just admit right there that a lot of people have a hard time going back against a decision that they're planting their flag on, and I thought that was really good for democracy.
It was good for democracy, but it concerns me just the fact that the decision was made.
Yeah, right? But people make stupid decisions all the time.
I get they try to encourage people. Hey, everybody, we want you to come forward with your ideas to make this a better place to live. And I'm here to say, listen, I've been alive for 50 years. Not all of you people have opinions that are worth adding to our city to make it better.
What do you mean, you people?
You people, you know what I mean, you people. Here's what I mean by you people. You people that think that we're going to save the planet by charging 15 cents a bag at the drive-thru. Guys, and for those of you that aren't in Calgary, you might not have heard about that, but any of you that are in Calgary, you know this. You cannot go to McDonald's anymore. You cannot go through any drive-thru, get your order without them saying, "Would you like a bag with that?"
And if you say yes,
they charge you 15 cents. Yeah. So first off, the other day we were picking up a bunch of burgers for my boy and their friends, and I think we had like 9 or 10 double cheeseburgers. Mm-hmm. And they asked me if I wanted a bag for it. I'm thinking, what are you going to do? Just hand me a bunch of double cheeseburgers wrapped? It was ridiculous.
Do you remember my tray story in Edmonton where I grabbed the tray and brought it to the car? That was the first time I was shocked by this. And that was in Edmonton, who they led the charge. We followed Edmonton. We hate Edmonton. Like, I live in Calgary. I know Calgary hates Edmonton. Right now, Calgary is dying. Everyone, 1.5 million people, most of them, are praying for the Oilers to lose because Calgary hates Edmonton. Yet, we followed them down the paper bag single-use rabbit hole. Yeah. And then a month later, we had the, hey, you got to pay 15 cents at the drive-thru for a bag.
So, and here's what gets me about that. So I'm fine with, okay, let's save the planet. I'm on board. But how is giving McDonald's 15 cents for every car that drives through going to save the planet? It's not even going to carbon offsets. It's not going to any kind of recycling programs. It's going purely to profit. And even the small restaurants were required to do it. And it just felt gross. They're not allowed to offer you napkins. They're not allowed to offer you forks. You need to ask for them, or they can get a $500 fine. Anyway, long of it short, finally, guys,
Sheldon, wait,
What?
Dave DeRoche, bring your own bag, trick or treat.
Yeah, totally. Like trick or treat
for burgers.
Exactly. But they don't allow that. Like if you, some people did, like they hold their bag out. They're not allowed to like touch the bag, right? It's ridiculous. But today, after very much debate and a whole lot of angry opinions coming from the citizens of Calgary, they overturned that, and it's going to take a few weeks to put it into effect. But they had a vote, and it got overturned.
Well,
but you know what the funny thing is? You know what the final vote was today?
I actually didn't.
9-3.
And
there were still 3 holdouts that said, no, this is important for people to pay McDonald's 15 cents for a bag. You know what happened? Ask Bruno. He's talking about this. All he's done is he switched from those little paper bags that you use for your garbage afterwards to carrying plastic bags in your car with you, right? If you got kids, you need that bag for the garbage. Otherwise, you got straws and stuff strewn all over the back of your truck, and that's just gross.
But you know what? If you back up a little bit more, it didn't just come to a vote and opinion. For those that don't live in Calgary listening, one of the citizens who owned a restaurant decided that it was important enough for him that he started a recall petition for the mayor based solely on that topic. So Mayor Jody Gondek, who kind of, I guess, wore it as you know, the reason this decision happened. And I guess this gentleman, I can't remember his name now because it's last week and I forgot yesterday's news, but basically he went on for a good 2 or 3 months corralling support for a recall petition for the mayor. And that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, in his opinion. There were some other moves that he wasn't too happy with in the past, some unilateral decisions, some of which had been reversed. So, Canada Day might have been one of them. Some other decisions that may not have been reversed. But that was the straw that broke the camel's back in this citizen business owner's opinion. And he started this recall petition. Now, they needed like 500,000 votes in favor of a recall to have the mayor recalled. I think he had 70,000 votes, maybe not even that much. But the fact that it was gaining steam, the fact that people were talking about it, it was on the news. It forced the discussion to be reopened, and it forced people to understand that, hey, wait a second, we have to listen to citizens. We have to listen to common sense opinions. We can't just make these unilateral decisions and say, hey, this is good for everyone. I work for the city. I understand how it works. You elect leadership. You hope that they make decisions in everyone's best interest. But sometimes people have the right to, for lack of a better word, dissent. And in this case, I believe this dissension caused discussion. And that discussion had my opinion was, I didn't like it because I don't like paying 15 cents. I'm cheap as hell. I literally will take the tray and bring it to my car and leave it outside if I have to pay for a bag. Like that's just me.
And the thing to me is, I'm cheap, but it needs to make sense. And that didn't make sense. And the fact that there's still 3 people voting for it still doesn't make sense to me. But you know what? It happened. It changed. Chevy, you brought up the 500,000 votes that were required to overthrow the mayor's position, right? Yeah. Now, do you know how many votes she received in the last election?
I don't even want to know. I don't know how many people turned up.
186,000. So 70,000. It sounds like, they really missed the mark, but it was more than a third of the people that showed up to vote on election day. So I think voices were heard. And I'm not calling for the mayor's job, but I do like the idea of accountability, right? I like the idea that if you're going to go out there and make unpopular decisions that don't make any sense to appease whoever you're trying to appease, there is going to be some accountability, and people have the right to stand up and say no. I just hope that going into the next election, which I think is that next year, like this fall,
pretty soon.
It's coming up soon. I hope that we get a few more common sense decisions, because we like to talk so much about our national governments, and we like to talk about our provincial or state governments. But at the end of the day, the government that affects you most is in your own city. Yeah. What you're paying on property tax on a year-to-year basis, man. That's where I get cheap. Yeah. Right.
Hey, are we getting plastic bags back? Because I still got to figure out something for my groceries.
Well, I don't think we're getting plastic bags back. But
Paper
paper
ones?
bags are just fine. I don't. I grew up on paper bags. I'm fine with
Yeah.
paper bags.
Yeah. No, as long
But
as we got.
co-op had all those compostable ones. They compost in your car on the way home. Usually the
Yeah, well,
groceries that you got.
I went there on the weekend to the co-op, and they have those green compost bags. And I said, "Hey, do you guys have those bags for sale?" So what they did is they
Yes.
roll them up in a bundle of 10 and sell them for $1.50, which I think that's reasonable. Like I can carry some plastic bags. I'm like, I don't want to pay 33 cents for one bag, but if I get a roll of bags, then I'll pay $1.50 instead of one for 15 cents,
Yeah.
which is literally the same thing. But it feels, where it's redundant? It's redundant at the McDonald's because the McDonald's bag is literally a single use bag. You can't do anything with it. It gets all oily. It could become a garbage in your car for a couple of days, but it's not like a bag that you get at the co-op bags. Those ones you can reuse them 1 or 2 times. But anyhow, Sheldon, listen, we're in overtime. What I want to bring up is our show is a show that hopefully we always said we're not the Barstool, which we are a little Barstool, but we're mostly a road trip. We don't know where we're going. We don't know what we're talking about half the time. We usually give each other a call. We do a little bit of prep. We rock and roll, write a poem. And that's what tonight's been. What's been especially fun about this show tonight is that we didn't take a break. My phone just died, so I don't know what the comments are doing anymore. Just stop charging. That's okay. What I wanted to say is this week is Mental Health Awareness Week. Okay. Next week, we're doing our big event. It's the men's mental health night, which is a big event for us. But the mental health awareness week is this week. If you're listening today, you're watching, you're there tonight. First of all, you're here. You're here. And I don't mean here on the show listening to us. I mean, you're here. You're breathing. You're having fun. You're talking. You're chatting. You're doing something for your mental health because God knows listening to us is not productive. It's not going to make you a better person. It's not going to make you well, it might make you a little bit better person, but it's not going to get you any more sleep. It's not going to get you any better at your job, but you're doing it because you love it and you think, hey, you know what? It's one day a week and it makes me feel good. And me and you doing the show makes me feel good. So take care of yourselves if you're out there because you know what? You only have one you. And if you have people relying upon you, you have parents, aging parents, because obviously some of you guys are our age. We have aging parents. You have brothers, sisters, you have kids that rely upon you. The only way you can be the best version of you for them is if you take care of you. That means take care of your diet. Give yourself an opportunity to go for a walk, even when you're super tired. Do something that's exercise. Do something that's good for your body, for your soul, and take care of your mental health. Reach out to someone you love, give them a call, tell them you love them, have a good chat with them. Reach out to a buddy, even across the screen. It can impact your day, it can impact your mood, and it could give you a good energy boost for the rest of the week. Do that for yourself, but also do that for the people in your life. Sheldon, I'm just going to bend over and plug in my phone for a second. You take it away.
Okay. Well, you know what? Just a reminder, guys, May 16th, there's
15th.
Or May 15th, if you don't have your tickets yet, guys, look back on the chat line, look for that link, invite some friends. We've got maybe, I don't know, room for 20 more. And I expect that to fill up fast, but I'm very excited about this event, getting together with you guys. Chevy, I think that's just about all the overtime that I've got right now, but once again, I want to give a shout out to my buddy Cozy, Todd Kozak in Saskatoon. Happy birthday, buddy. Him and I are going on a fishing trip out to Bamford on the island next month. And I can't wait. It's good to connect with old friends, and I haven't seen him in too long. Ernie Regas, man, great to see you here back again. Wishing you a speedy recovery, and just glad to hear your voice and see you following us again. And guys, for the rest of you, man, like Chevy said, thanks so much for joining us.
We pulled it off. We pulled it off,
and we pulled it off because you guys stuck it out with us for the entire show, and I really appreciate that. It means more than you guys can know.
Yeah. We'll see them next week.
We'll see you all next week. Same time, same station, right here on The Ride.